Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Thomas Calhoun. I am the co-host of this platform where we do uh, trading stocks and options lessons. This is Jamario Walker, who is going to talk to us today and recap the week, which was a major week for Bitcoin and weed stocks. Marijuana is going to be legalized, and it looks as if Bitcoin may end up being a true currency based on what happened in the week. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Jamario, and we're going to let him uh, show us all about Bitcoin. How do I?
Everybody's favorite crypto. All right. All right. Let me share my screen. Let's see. All right. Can you see me, Tom?
I see you.
Yes,
Let's
sir. Yes,
rock.
sir. So I'm Jamario Walker. Our presentation today is entitled Bitcoin, the Elephant in the Markets. Everybody's
Mm,
favorite crypto. So let's just start talking about, what is Bitcoin? Let's start from the beginning. Digital currency created in 2009 follows the ideas of, mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto. What's strange is this guy may or may not be a real person. It may be a group of persons. Um, his identity is still largely a mystery. So we've got this amazing asset floating around in the markets, which is created by an unknown entity, for lack of a better word. But it's still, Bitcoin offers the promise of lower transaction fees and payment mechanisms. And unlike government issued cryptos, it is not operated by a decentralized authority. It is operated by a decentralized authority,
right.
meaning no country, no business, no person owns all of Bitcoin.
Mm, that's
So
powerful.
some quick key points. Um, it is the largest crypto by market cap. Unlike fiat currencies, it is created, distributed, traded, and stored on a decentralized ledger system known as a blockchain. Before the advent of Bitcoin and all the cryptos, there was no mention of a blockchain. Um,
Mm,
no companies speaking of anything such as a blockchain or storing data in a method like the blockchain. This is totally out of left field, basically. Um, and this history of a store of value has been turbulent. I mean, we've all seen that. We've seen the excessive rises and the phenomenal falls of Bitcoin and some of the other cryptos. I mean, we can't deny that it's not a volatile asset. We see it every week. I mean, just this past week, you heard the information from Elon Musk investing in what was that, 1.6, Thomas?
yeah,
1.9
1.5 or 1 point some 1.5, 1.6 somewhere in there.
million dollars from his balance sheet into the crypto
Billion,
billion. Oh my God.
billion. Yes, a billion.
That's a lot of money, y'all. A lot of money. After him, BNY Mellon talk about possibility of them doing the same thing. You heard MasterCard making a play or beginning to talk about, potentially doing something like that. So every week there's more and more companies talking about, how they can utilize Bitcoin and the blockchain to further their agenda or, just to increase their capabilities. So this is
I
something that's
believe,
not
yeah.
gonna it's not gonna go away anytime soon.
Yeah, I believe like Morgan Stanley is about to come up and they're looking at 150 million or billion.
Dang, it's a
Let me
lot of
look
money,
that up.
man.
Yes, incredible.
And once again, that's something where we don't know who the true creator of this thing was. We still don't know for sure who this guy is. If it's a group of other people, we don't know. But yet there's money piling into it every week.
150 billion. Morgan Stanley may bet on Bitcoin and 150 billion-dollar investment arm.
My God.
Bloomberg put that out. So this is serious.
Yeah.
So how do we get involved? How do we get involved? What's going on?
So
Break it down
let's
for us.
we're going to talk a little bit about more about what it is and how what it's built on top of, because
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
blockchain technology that it runs on top of is kind of the secret sauce. It's what
Yep.
makes it, so dynamic. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the blockchain is a specific type of database. Differs from a typical database in the way that it stores information. It stores it in actual blocks of data, and those blocks of data are chained together in chronological order. You can store different types of information in these little blocks. It doesn't have to be a particular type. Usually, for right now, for most uses right now, what they use it for is to store like transactions. You
Sure.
pay a person, they store that transaction in the block, or you can store information pertaining to shipments in these blocks. It's at its core, it's just a database at its core, storing data attached together in a chain format. And what's of note is this chain is immutable, which means the data entered is irreversible. Those transactions can't be deleted. They're permanently recorded in that blockchain that anybody can view. So this is data that you can't delete. Like Microsoft SQL, that's a database also format. Though that database can be deleted. That data can be taken out of that SQL database, deleted. You can
Sure.
copy and paste it. You can do a lot of things with that data. In a blockchain, you can't do that. So that right there separates blockchain technology, separates all those cryptos from anything else on the market. There's nothing else that operates in this capacity. That's part of the allure of the blockchain technology and those cryptos that are built on top of that.
And for a long time, I know from my perspective, I always thought blockchain was going to be the real gold mine of Bitcoin. Like I always thought Bitcoin was just going to falter, but in the end, the blockchain technology was going to be the thing that we all needed to figure out because of this persistence of the data,
Yeah,
um, and the security that it provides. Although it does also give a lot of anonymity and make things
yeah,
difficult. It on one hand, but on the other hand, if you it also gives some security.
yeah,
So it, I thought that would be the gold mine, but apparently Bitcoin itself has
yeah,
now, I think, surpassed even the blockchain technology.
yeah. It's pretty interesting technology, man. It's very interesting to me. The whole blockchain concept is it's pretty cool stuff, man. This we'll go quickly over the mining aspect. All of the cryptos, they to actually mine and to get the crypto coins, you have to go through a process called mining. It's basically a lot of computers together, network together, that are trying to solve, increasingly hard cryptographic math problems, algorithms. When they solve these problems, they get rewarded with a block of newly mined coins, whatever the crypto they're mining. Um, I've never known of anything else, working like this either, where you actually process to receive something from that processor, other than like, DNA sequencing, things like that. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the closest correlations, but it's very, very cool, the whole mining aspect. Um, for Bitcoin, the amount released per mining per block right now is, let's see here,
Hmm.
May 2020, each one of the blocks that you receive is 6 Bitcoin. What's strange is that amount, it halves every 4 years. And that's how they actually limit the amount of Bitcoin that you can ever mine. The limit is 21 million Bitcoin. That's the limit you can ever mine the Bitcoin. And right now we're at about 18. So we've got a little
Oh
bit more to
wow.
go. Yeah, we're at about 18 right now, and the max is 21. But the thing is, every 4 years, it halves how much you can mine and get per block. So 2020 and 2024 is going to go down to 3, meaning every 10 minutes you can only mine 3 Bitcoin. And then it's going
Mm.
to half again another 4 years after that. That's how they limit the amount that you can ever get.
Mm-hmm.
It's like built-in inflation almost to stop the amount that you can ever get of Bitcoin. So we have this is the top 10 coins by market cap. You see that the granddaddy Bitcoin at the top, 870 billion market cap. This was as of last week's prices um, from the crypto.com site. Ethereum number two with about 206. You've got Cardano 27. You know, all these guys are the top 10 of all the cryptos. There's hundreds of them. These are the most 10, probably the most 10 important ones that you want to really focus on and see for a store of value purposes. Each one of these cryptos, they do a different sort of use case created by different companies running different code. It's very interesting stuff, man. You can look at it almost like different companies. You got one for 46,000, Ethereum 1,800, Cardano 88 cents. So each one of these can be looked at as a company on a stock exchange. And the
What,
price
from
and the
your perspective, what what makes one more valuable than the other? Why is Bitcoin? Is it just first mover advantage, or what from just from your perspective?
from my research, I think the cap on the amount that you can ever mine is what made Bitcoin the granddaddy of them all. That and it
Gotcha.
was the
So,
first to market. It's the
mhm,
first one that really came on the scene and really set the whole precedence. It set the whole
yeah,
framework for the rest of these guys to follow. The whole blockchain tech, it started all of that. Um, I know some of these others don't have that same cap like Bitcoin does, so that limits their
yeah,
top line.
yeah. What about Ethereum? Does Ethereum have a cap?
Um, I'm not sure about Ethereum, and now there's like an Ethereum 2.0, which is a different version of Ethereum. So you really got to research each one to see what it does and its capabilities, because developers are always trying to upgrade the Bitcoin format. Well, the blockchain
Crypto.
format they each run out.
Gotcha.
They're actively developing new
Gotcha.
capabilities for them. And Ethereum actually is going to be more like it's going to function more like the internet, where you can create apps to run on top of it. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these others aren't allowing that. So it's more of a platform to develop applications that run on top of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting for Ethereum. But yeah, they all have different use cases, and it is hard to manage who's worth what, because you really got to know what it's doing, what's the use cases for that particular coin, and they all do something different. Um, Size matters, and these figures are from last year from Market Watch. So last year, the market cap for Bitcoin was 255. I mean, we know now that it's 860, 870. But even still, it was almost above Walmart and Wells Fargo. So even rounding this up to 300
It
billion.
was above Visa.
Oh my God. Can you believe that, man? These
Yeah,
these
that's
are
crazy.
established companies, man. Some of the largest in the market.
Yeah.
And if we're lenient and just say all these guys are 300 billion, we already know Bitcoin is 800 billion already. Even giving these guys a little bit more leniency, and it still far outweighs anything in the market. It is definitely the elephant in the market.
Except for, I guess, Apple, right? Apple
At a
is
trillion
what, a
dollars,
trillion dollars? Yeah.
we're
Uh,
approaching there.
but yeah, I mean, it did. If it has another week like it did this week, it'll be bigger than Apple. Yeah.
Consumer staples. These are some well-established companies that we all know about. McDonald's, what's that, 130 billion, Boeing, well, that's 60, 70 billion, Pepsi, same thing. And here we got Bitcoin surpassing all of them.
Mm,
Verizon,
wow.
Toyota. So the story so far, Bitcoin was relatively flat from about 2014 to 2017, had a big jump to about 20,000 in 2018, but had a major crash. What a lot of institutional investors were looking at was to see how it's going to perform after it made a drop before they put any money behind it. It recovered in 2019 to about halfway of this initial drop,
Mm,
and then it dropped again during 2020, the whole COVID issue. But as you can see, it didn't drop as low as it did in 2019. That was a
higher
positive
lows.
sign. Yeah,
Higher lows. Yeah.
that was a positive sign for a lot of institutional investors, a lot of big players, and that's when they jumped in after seeing that. And as you can, I mean, the rest is history. This is 20,000. Last year, 1201, it was at about 20,000. I mean, now we're sitting almost 50,000 now. So
Mm-hmm.
we're well above this now. Um, it's been an amazing run for this amazing asset that's just changed the game completely, man. It's changed the game completely.
Wow.
So you may ask yourself, how do I start? I
Nice.
recommend you do your own research and just start. There's a couple of platforms that allow you to easily buy and sell crypto coins. You got Binance, Coinbase, Robinhood is fairly easy to buy crypto. I don't recommend Robinhood if you want to actually trade and learn the ins and outs of trading. But as far as buying quick crypto, you can. It's easy for that. It's useful for that to quickly buy some coins and watch it grow. eToro, PayPal, and the Square Cash app, you can actually buy crypto from the Cash app, which is very
So
convenient.
I have a question, Jamario. This brings up a good question. If someone, let's say, if I want to buy a coin, I'm paying, at this point, $46,000. Am I not? Or what? Explain to us how that's work.
So what you're
Because
essentially
I thought you could only mine coins. You can't purchase the coin.
so what you're
So
doing is you're transferring your money into Bitcoin. That's what you're doing. Say you put a thousand
gotcha.
dollars into
Like buying
Bitcoin.
gold.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like a currency exchange. You're exchanging your money
Sure.
for a percentage of Bitcoin. That's
Gotcha.
that's all you're doing.
So it's really just a wealth storing mechanism
That's
at
all
this
it is,
point.
man.
When you're buying it from these platforms, it's just a way to store wealth.
That's all it is. And we've seen what it does. We've seen people got in here, sold here, got in here, sold here, got in here, sold here. It's a store of value that's going to keep rising. Of course, it's going to fall, but the general consensus for Bitcoin is going to rise.
Yeah.
Um, and once there's not enough to go around, I mean, all we're going to do is just buy it and just trade what we have. That's going to come a time where you can't mine any more Bitcoin.
Mm.
It's going to all be controlled by someone where you can only just buy and sell it. That time will come. So, in closing, Bitcoin is the beginning of something great, a currency without a government, something necessary and imperative. This is from Nassim Taleb, an author and risk analyst. Um, I mean, do not be afraid of it. Just do your research. Stay abreast of developments. Financial regulations can hinder some of its growth and hinder what you can and cannot do with crypto. So just be knowledgeable of that. Things may happen in the future to limit what we can do with it. I mean, that is a possibility. I would not lie to you. That is a possibility. And I just saw a report this week, man, where the U.S. government is going to like crack down on these guys investing in it, taking their money out of the U.S. dollar into Bitcoin because
Mm.
they don't want to see the U.S. dollar lose its status as a reserve currency.
Mm-hmm.
As more money piles into this, you may see a little push and tug, with federal government and crypto holders. So you got to
Mm-hmm.
stay abreast of developments, educate yourself on the ins and outs of what the government is saying about this and also what the investors are saying. You got to do your research.
Um, Go ahead. This is a good one. Key two, I guess, is invest for the long term to build wealth. That's good.
That's what you want to do. Look at this as a store of value for the future, not for something to it's
To
not a penny
flip.
trade. It's you can trade the smaller cryptos, but not Ethereum and Bitcoin. Those are the ones you want to use for stores of value to build your wealth. Because there will be a time where you can't mine Bitcoin. You can only buy from somebody that's already got it. You got companies like Square trying to buy all of the new mine Bitcoin. These guys are fighting to get what's mined daily. They're fighting to buy it because they see this coming also. I mean, they see the writing on the wall also, and they want to try to get ahead of that. So it's up to us to research and get ourselves in there also. We can't be left out, because they're buying.
Give me a strategy, Jamario. Right? I see a logo here, Tech Trader. Give me a strategy for how tomorrow morning the market will open. We were joking earlier before we got started about how bored we are when the market's closed, right? Like we don't know what to do with ourselves. Tomorrow morning, the market's going to be open. Tell me what I should do tomorrow to get into Bitcoin. Give me a game plan.
For Bitcoin, the price is so expensive right now. You just got to jump into it. You just got to put some money into it. Once you get some in it, then you can once the price goes down a little bit, you can add a little bit more to dollar cost average. But you just got to get into Bitcoin. What I'm doing is I'm using the smaller coins to double my money and put that into Bitcoin. Like I am playing the Dogecoin.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
I've actually doubled my money in Dogecoin about maybe 2 weeks ago, and I put that into Bitcoin. But now I've taken it out of Bitcoin back into Doge to double it again. So I'm doing that a little bit to just
give us a game. What platform are you using?
I'm using Robinhood for that because it's quick and easy just to buy crypto in there. It's quick just to do it in there.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, and the chart patterns are the same as anything else. It's the same, goes through the same motion. It adheres to the same moving averages.
Can we go over the tickers? Did you give us the tickers for those?
Yeah, they are.
Let's go over these tickers. I want to make sure. BTC.
So these are just the top 10 by market cap. The smaller ones you want to trade are all lower than this. Like Dogecoin is very small. XRP is a very common. People trade this one a lot. XRP. There's also one called OMG that people trade a lot. It's not one of the top 10, but it's heavily traded. OMG.
Okay.
It functions kind of like Ethereum, where it's like a platform to build apps on top of it. Stellar Lumens is backed by IBM, so they really push this one a lot to their customers. It's just a matter of just finding one that's in your price range that you want to try to trade with, as far as these smaller guys. But
what about Cardano? Cardano's 88 cents. I know somebody's gonna look at that and say, "Hey, here's something I can get into."
Hey, what you want to do is just take a look at it. Let's go to its chart right quick. See, here we go. It'll be the same situation. You just want to wait till there's a easier price to get in at.
So it's, what is this? 88 USD.
And all it's doing is just comparing its price against the US dollar, which they're all weighed against. But all you do on your platform is just buy it for whatever price is being sold at, at that time.
So you use this chart to determine where to buy.
That's what I do, man. When I see it in my, let's see here, like Dogecoin is dropping again right now. So maybe a week be a good time to pick up on some Dogecoin and try to double your money on that. A lot of people don't.
So you, because I've been hearing about a Dogecoin, right? So let's say I want to get into Dogecoin, right? You're using your chart here, same chart as you would if you were looking at IBM, right? For the sake of this discussion, right? So you look at your chart, you find DOGEUSD, right? And you look at your charts and do the same type of analysis you would normally do. And then you go on the market and you try to buy that once you feel like it's going to make another move to the upside.
Once it's in a suitable price range, you can jump on that joker, man.
That's good. And you say you've been flipping your money in this, because what is it now? What is it now? What was Doge? I haven't looked at it.
It's about 6 cents. Its high was 8 cents. So they're pushing for it to get to 10 cents here pretty soon. And we got Bitcoin sitting at 47. It was almost at 50. So we can see it's losing a little bit of steam here. It's probably going to retreat a little bit. But we'll watch it.
I don't know. With this Morgan Stanley news came out, when they hit the market tomorrow, who knows? It might hit 50 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge it, man, but it moves the same as any other asset, though. You can track it.
Look at this. Yep. And it's clearly sideways trending. Clearly. So um this is great. This has been, I
So
think,
which one you think you kind of like based on what you've heard so far? What kind of piques your interest as far as a digital currency?
I mean, you have to say Bitcoin, obviously, right? You know, I mean, you don't see anybody, Morgan Stanley talking about buying Dogecoin
Yeah,
or whatever. So the only ones that I hear um, people talk about in any real way is Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I couldn't really imagine um, investing for the long term in anything besides those two. Um, but in regards to taking a little bit of bread to the side and flipping it into um, flipping it using Dogecoin, I think, or any other of
yeah,
these smaller ones, I think maybe there's room to do that. Like I saw, the XRP.
yeah. XRP is a great target, but OMG, um, let's see, look at that move it
Interesting.
did last week. $6 all the way to 769. Wonder what happened last week. He did a pretty good move, but that's a bare 180 right there, though.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I wonder what happened. I mean, that's why I say you got to research the crypto markets, know what's going on. This may take a little bit more research than your traditional company, because this is such a new field. These are new assets, and they're constantly changing.
Mm,
Like the developers for Dogecoin are just now talking about, it started as a joke, and now it's kind of like real for those guys, and they're trying to build capabilities into their platform. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes of all these companies. I mean, they're companies. Companies push and create these coins. They're not just an arbitrary coin. It's a coin that a company created. A team of developers functioning of the company created, and now they're offering that to the people. Kind of like an IPO process, where you come public,
yeah,
you offer your shares to the public.
I remember they were having a lot of like crypto IPOs a year or so, a couple years ago. Um, I forget what they were calling it. Okay, so now it's making a lot more sense how all these IPO um was it an ICO? I think they were calling it ICO, initial coin offerings
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like
you're
that.
right. You're right.
Yeah. So um what makes OMG, if you can give us that information, what makes
Um,
OMG so popular
I don't
in
know
your
a whole
opinion?
lot about that. I just know it's
Besides, it's a great ticker. OMG is
I think
that's a
it's
great ticker.
actually OMG Networks. It's basically a networking platform to create apps on top of that. I really think this is gonna like become a second internet in a sense. Um,
Mm.
what I want to see happen.
When you say internet, do you mean the blockchain itself, or do you mean the coin? And
Uh,
in what way do you mean the second internet?
I
In
mean
terms of
they're
just a
they're
boom
they're
and a
because they're all separate networks. And each one of them is like a separate blockchain network that you can tap into and utilize. And you've got these miners on that separate network mining and verifying transactions on that network. So it is a conglomerate of networks. Each one of these coins is its separate network. It's separate, internet for lack of a better word.
got you.
But what I want to see happen though, man, instead of like investing in coins, I want to see people invest in like research or some sort of a cryptocurrency slash research initiative where the coin is actually you're putting money into the research for cancer or something. That's what I want to
Mm.
see, man, or like DNA sequencing. Instead of putting your money into a coin, put it into that initiative for that development of that cancer cure, something like that.
That's interesting because that's really really interesting.
Because what you're paying for is processing power to a certain extent.
For sure. I mean, and you need a ton of it.
A ton of
Um,
energy.
the thing that comes to mind the question that comes to mind um, when you say like investing in research is like, how could this technology and what does this opportunity mean for Black Americans, and how could we leverage this, right, to improve our stance, right? You talk about being locked out of the economy. We know all the things, redlining. We know
Yeah.
obviously the transatlantic human trafficking expedition, right? Like we know all the things and that happened, and we know all the things that are happening for the most part. Is this an opportunity for reparations? Is this an opportunity for us to join in and say, you know what, this is I mean, it kind of isn't, because we've already built the system up to the point where now Morgan Stanley, on the backs of us, can invest $150 billion,
Yeah.
right? So I guess I'm answering my own question, but you know, this is a wealth creation opportunity as well as a wealth storage opportunity. I mean, you're using one coin to give you opportunity to store wealth in another coin.
Yeah.
So, what ways do you see we can to take advantage of that?
I mean, I definitely see Bitcoin as a store of value to build your wealth. Um, because the thing is, we don't have anything to gauge its performance by. I mean, you would say gold may
Mm,
be the closest commodity, but not really. Um, and what we've seen is when a digital version of something comes out, it surpasses that analog version. You got eight
typically,
tracks. You had
sure.
CDs, and now you got the digital downloads that have surpassed CDs. When a digital version comes out, you got the cell phone, the analog phone. This is the digital version of currency, and also gold or commodities. Um, so you can't really gauge its price. Plus, you're gauging its price on a dying asset, the U.S. dollar. So it's I don't know how you evaluate it, man. I don't know. That's the problem now. People don't know how to value it, and you can't really use it to buy something. It's not really. It's used is the best used to buy something. To buy pizza or buy anything
I
like that.
just can't imagine taking something that is worth $43,000 and taking a piece of that and buying a Tesla, or I mean, I just don't. That's the thing that I can't wrap my brain around, the consumer utilization of Bitcoin. That part I can't wrap my brain around.
Yeah, I mean it's a good question, man. A lot of people are trying to answer that. I can tell you that. A lot of people are trying to answer
Jeez.
that question, and yet they're still pumping millions into it every week.
Pumping millions into it, I get as a storage of value. Trying to take money out
It's a good question,
is
Thomas. Good question, man.
curious. Very curious.
It makes you think.
Okay. Makes you think. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
Good.
you're thinking about it, but you do want to be involved. You don't want to be left out if this is our chance to strike gold, so to speak,
Sure. Digital gold.
to start building wealth for our families. Because it's going to come a time where you can't mine anymore. That time's coming.
Sure. Um. Well, let's go over the other exciting news for the week, which was people got really high on weed stocks last week. Um, and and I want to talk about my experience and the general experience, my experience, and how what I could have done to make my experience better. And I definitely want you to chime in from an options perspective and talk about maybe some things that could have been done to even still make even still more money. So, um,
My brother.
uh, what's going on? How do I? All right, so I got it. So let me share. Are we good? What do you see?
Oh yeah, own your masters, baby. Protecting your
That's
game,
right.
part one.
All right. So yes, I want to talk about this is the OIM section, and we're talking about uh, trading stocks and options, and now currencies, digital gold, to build wealth and getting the basics of that done. And I just really, really want everybody, we talk about own your masters, we're talking about, own what you consume, own what you produce, own what people want to live. In other words, buy the block. Like, all these buy the block efforts, I think that is um, the great way for us to own our community so that we can kind of control, policing, you can control wealth, you can control other things. But now we got to say buy the blockchain, right? So
Yeah,
because this is on another level. And so those are the three areas where I really want us to get focused on. That's why we started on your masters. But tonight we're going to talk about the own your what you consume perspective. And, you know, as we found out, the data tells us that black people
you gotta
don't
drink water, baby.
don't use um weed or smoke weed any more than anybody else. However, we end up being locked up more than anybody else. And um so we have to figure out a way to get wealthy on the things that we're consuming because we're consuming Clubhouse. Clubhouse is now valued at $1 billion, but where's the wealth for us, right?
Yeah.
So we have to really figure out how to own what you consume. And since Black people are the number one consumers here in the States, we have to figure out how to flip that on its head and take ownership and equity in what we assume, what we consume. So that's really what the whole mantra is about. OIM. That's what OIM, ownership is a lifestyle. And so this is what happened. I'm gonna break it down. Everybody, I was using my technical analysis capabilities. I do swing trading to identify an opportunity to re-enter Tilray and or CGC, which is Canopy Growth. And I had already made money on both of them, frankly. And they had pulled back, and I, was slowly getting out of them. And they pulled back. I think Tilray went to about 20 or so, $21, and pulled back to about $17 to $19 range. And they just sideways trended from there. And I said, okay. And what I couldn't understand was, and I'll go through this. What I couldn't understand was that Canopy, besides us, so let me give you a background. Canopy had an investment from not Mondelez. Who was it? I think
Constellation.
that Constellation Brands. They have they invested in Canopy because Canopy has a drink, a CBD based drink that they're bringing to market that has the less filling and tastes great. Like it went tastes great, less filling. They
Yeah.
went tastes great, no filling. Right. So Constellation Brands invested um in Canopy. And so I thought, well, maybe that's the reason why Canopy is like pretty much double what
Yeah.
Tilray is. And then, of course, even after Tilray and Afria announced that they were merging, which makes them the largest in the world,
Yeah.
they still were only about half. So I couldn't figure it out. So either way, I had invested in them both. I was out of both, and I was looking for a new opportunity to re-enter. And Canopy started taking off before Tilray. So I'll like go to this chart and let me see if I can move this somewhere else. I don't know if it can be seen, but yeah. So this is not actually Canopy. This is actually Grow. Um, and this is a company that basically every growth marijuana grow company has to use uh, to grow the marijuana. It's called grow generation.
Yeah.
So there, so everybody has to use them. But what I found interesting is during the pullback, so they came up to here and they pulled back, came up to about, that looks to be about maybe almost 53, 54,
Yeah.
and pulled back here to the 50-day moving average, which is about 41 maybe, and then bounce, found support there. And this is right along the time when all marijuana stocks were just going up.
Yeah.
And and they, so you can see they went from about 41 to 67, 67, 75. That's that's an incredible move in a very short period of time.
Woo.
Um and I thought, okay, I wasn't really watching them, but that's the peak during the frenzy. The 67, 75. Now, this is Canopy. Canopy came, jumped up here, went to almost 30, went to 35, and then came and pulled back for days.
Mm.
Consolidated, you see the sideways trend, and
Mm.
then took off again, pulled back. But this is on its own. While this was taking off again, Tilray was not.
Huh.
Right? And I couldn't figure out why. Now, Canopy, eventually you can see they announced earnings in here first, earlier this month. But they started taking off before that. So maybe people were, excited about it. They cooled off, hung out here, and then started participating in the frenzy about from these 3 days. Right? But look at their peak, 56, 55. They already moved, started moving before the frenzy. But check this out. This is Tilray.
Woo.
Tilray started moving.
Oh
It
my God.
hit around 21 and pulled back here. And this is what I was talking about. Right in here was my initial investment, about 18 something, 1874, somewhere in there. And what happened was I was down about maybe 5 or 6 thousand,
Yeah.
right? And I said, okay, I kind of went heavy in. So I said, this is what I'm gonna do. When I get back to my a little bit above my purchase price, and I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna lighten up, right, and use that to diversify. So I sold some at about 1925 or whatever. I sold a third of my position,
Okay. Okay.
right? Just okay. I'm gonna diversify with that. I'm not gonna be too heavy in this one. Of course, obviously, I clearly did not know what the heck was going on, what was about to go on with Wall Street bets, right? And this was my point. I am investing based on these charts. It's clearly pulled, right? I had a
Yeah.
consolidation pattern, and I was like, you know what? This is about to move. Let me get in. I was a couple days early, but I lightened up here, unfortunately, and on this big bar that day, I lightened up right in here, and it kept going. And but I'm still in. I'm still 2/3 in. I sold half of my position here right around 37, right under $37. Right? The remaining half of my 2/3 I sold, right? Which is of course a third. So I sold another, and then I'm thinking, you know what, I better take some profits and I can let the rest ride. Because
Oh yeah.
I don't think, right? Literally the next day I got another double.
My God.
So no, that's not true. So I'll tell you what happened. It was the next day. The next day it opened here. It opened up here, came down all day. And for whatever reason, I had balls of steel that day. I was like, I'm not selling. I
Diamond
half was
had the diamond hands.
I had the diamond hands. I was like, I'm not selling. Because at that point, I knew, I figured, I'll tell you when I knew. This day when it popped, I said, you know what? I understand it's weed, but I kept looking around. I didn't see any real news. I
Yeah.
said, this is not me. This is Wall Street bets. This is not, this is right. I don't know what's
So when
going
did you
on.
check Wall Street bets? When did you look at them and try to check
I
it out?
never looked at. I never looked at them. I just said because I don't even want to get involved in that. You know, I don't know what's to come from that. So I was like, look, I'm going to stick to my trade. If they so happen to buy what I'm already holding, great. But I want to stick to my disciplines.
You're doing it right, man.
But so I just woke up and I was like, what? I mean, I was up significantly, right? Even just from here to look, I sold half the third of my position here. I was happy with this game.
Oh man.
Right? When this happened, I'm like, you know, I'm not really sure what's going on, but I think I knew it kept going up. That was a nice game. And I said, this is not, it just doesn't make any sense now. It's wild. Yeah. And so that's why I sold. That's another reason why I said, let me just get out of half of it because something is off. And I said to myself then, if it doubles again, I will sell another half.
Okay.
Right? I'm thinking maybe in a week. Maybe the way at the rate it was going. Mario, it opened at like 65, went down all day.
I remember that morning, man. It jumped like $16 to $18. I remember that morning, man.
I was lit. I was like, oh, we lit. And I kept saying to myself, I kept thinking GameStop. Oh my God. I said, oh man. At that moment, I knew that level of jump made me think this could go to the end of the week. Right? And if it goes to the end of the week, because I think this is probably Wednesday. Right? And I'm thinking, I'm gonna ride this out to the end of the week. If this is the 100, then we're gonna be lit and I'm gonna be out. You know what I mean? Right? So, and I'm gonna tell you what really got me. And for whatever reason, it was up so much, I was like, nah. It came down all day. And that morning, it came down under $50. And you look where it closed. It closed above 60. So Dang. It came back all the way. And I was like, uh-oh, we super lit, right? Anytime they buy it back up like that, all day long, they bought it back up. Yeah. I'm like, yo, we're going to get a pop. In the morning, I might hit 100. If I hit 100, I'm good, right? Look at this price bar. Now, in the aftermarket, right? I have here, that's important. $75. It hit $75 a share. And the next morning, this morning, in the pre-market, it hit 77. Dang. That thing hit 77 and came down all day. Never even opened that high. And it was gone. So I end up selling my remaining position at around $44. Look how much money I gave up. And so I'm using this as a learning opportunity for myself, and I'm sharing it with everybody else, because had I stuck to my disciplines and sold in the aftermarket that half of my position, I would have captured a non-trivial amount of money. Yeah. Basically, every dollar that I lost from here down to 44, I would have captured just by selling half here at that 75, right? So it's painful, but that's the lessons you learn. So I wanted to go through this because I feel like it's a really good opportunity to learn how to protect your gains, right? How to I think what did I call it? This section of protecting your gains. And I'm just high level today on what Jamario I think we should do going forward in the coming days and weeks is just give bite-sized chunks of tools, how to enter a trade, what to do after you enter a trade, how to exit a trade, all the vernacular and vocabulary around that, and then start building up to the skills aspect of what I'm talking about here, right? And but we can talk about it at a high level tonight. So here's just 4 tips, right? And I call it staying in the game. And there's a reason why I call it staying in the game. You notice there's no Investopedia. This is Thomas, so you can take it and throw it away, or you can do what you want with it. But this is just from my experience of almost 20 years off and on trading the markets for income and survival. And so I call it staying in the game because here's the bottom line. A lot of people right now, particularly, there's a lot of people, period. They call us the retail investor, the Robin Hood. Um, you know, Kramer calls them the merry men, right, of Robin Hood, right? Like, there's a lot of names. Some of them are kind of disrespectful, but I
Yeah.
do think, and I think that's why part of the why this Wall Street Bets war is going on, among other reasons. But I do think that to some degree they deserve to be acknowledged for the effort, the research that they're doing to figure out what it is, although they don't always get it right. The thing I want to go over, though, let me go back to Tilray. One of the reasons why, and I started learning, that's why I said, I need to go ahead and get out. Um, I was trying to figure out how to get out here because I figured out this day that what was going to happen, what happened with GameStop could not possibly happen with Tilray,
Yeah.
because what happened with GameStop was based on the short interest.
Yeah.
And Tilray had a lot of short interest in the stock, about 25 or 28%, somewhere in there. However, it was actually like phantom. It wasn't real short interest because that short interest, actually the wheat stocks, there wasn't a lot of, they weren't shorted heavily, right? It
Yeah.
was really costly to short those stocks. So what was happening is it's just the arbitrage of a merger between Tilray and Afria that makes it seem as though there's a high short interest,
Okay.
when in fact there really wasn't. And so once I started realizing that was happening, I started saying, all right, that is going to preclude it from going to the moon, right? Like GameStop goes from whatever to $500 a share, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so, but where's the moon, right? So I'm thinking, how long is it before they figure out that they can't get out of what they need? And if I get one more day until Friday, I'll take it, knowing that I'm gonna get out. So it was just pure greed, and that's why I'm going over this because again, just taking a piece of that action, even at 75, would have made me a
Mm.
significant amount more money. So again, my first thing, reason I call it staying in the game is because a lot of people are getting in. A lot of people, Jamario, are, you know, retail investors taking their stimmies, or
Yeah.
some of them are, a lot of people working from home and didn't have the flexibility they had before and
Yeah.
are now learning to trade and got some extra cash because they're not commuting or buying clothes, right? And paying for cleaners and gas. So they're taking the extra money and they're putting in here. Unfortunately, you have guys that are showing up banging on Robin Hood's door, talking about I had 50,000 in there for my kids' tuition and mortgage and ridiculous things like that. That's always a part of the game. But there are a lot of people who are taking four or five, $10,000 and putting it in the market. And if you're taking too much risk or you are not careful with the risk, even if you're just using the 10,000, you're only a couple losses from being out of the game,
Blowing your account
losing,
up.
blowing your account up. And so the reason why I call it staying in the game was because minimizing your losses and maximizing your gains is the game. That is
That's
the game.
that's it. That's it.
That's the game. And there are two things, specifically two emotions that will control your ability to maximize your gains and minimize your losses, and they are fear and greed. It fear will have you fear would have had me sell that first day that I saw it coming down, right? And by now succumbing to that and waiting and watching my charts, looking at my technical indicators, I watched it go all the way back up. However, because I wasn't objective, that lack of fear turned into greed. If I had just entered the order to say, okay, I sold it around 37, about 74, 75, I'm a I'm gonna put another order in, good till cancel, plus extended hours. We'll talk about what that means in a future video, right? But put a good till cancel in it, order in to sell half of this, and it would have sold while I was asleep, right? And I could have, again captured a lot of that bread. But my greed said, "We lit
To the moon, baby.
to the moon, baby." I just want to see that hundo so I can sell my shares and sleep for the rest of the month. Right? I ain't getting up to work no more this month. So there's another thing that people are talking a lot about here lately. It's called FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And I think it is a complete misnomer. I think fear of missing out is really greed in disguise.
I agree.
You agree with that?
I agree. I
It's
agree.
really greed. It's really greed. It's like a limit order that turns into a market order. I think FOMO, that fear just turns into greed once you think there's an opportunity that you're missing out on, right?
But
It
you see somebody
transitions.
making money and you want to make some of that money.
Yep. It's greed, right? And so anyway, I say be objective. So don't let fear or greed force you into taking huge losses or missing out on massive gains, right? Define your profit and loss objectives before you even buy, right? When I in our Facebook group, hopefully anyone watching this will join our Facebook group. When I put stocks, when Jamario puts stock or option opportunities in the group, we are giving you entry points, probably most likely around support, or telling you they already found support, and we're giving you resistance, where the most likely next level of resistance. You have to be willing to take some off the table once you get to certain levels of resistance. That just is what it is. You have to be willing to do that. And those types of things can be defined before you even put a dollar in.
Yeah.
So that's one way to define your profit and loss objectives. And you have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm not willing to risk more than this. Right? I got $10,000. I shouldn't be risking more than $500 or $1,000 a trade. Because if I lose $1,000 a trade, how many trades before I don't have no money, right? 10 trades in, I'm done, right? So but you have to be willing to risk some to make some. So that's number one. Be objective. Number two, take profits, right? So most of us are familiar with, selling half on a double or playing with the house's money. Selling half on a double is just a way, a familiar place to say, I'm gonna play with the house's money. Whatever I could get my initial investment back once I sell half on that double. The question that we'll answer in a later video is, what happens if it's less or more than a double? How do you determine how much you want to sell? And so I have a very simple formula you can use to determine, hey, if you want to, I think this is going to continue to go up, but I want to lock in my gains. There's a formula we can use, very simple, to calculate it. Oh, I had a 5 point move. I'm gonna take some off the table. Protect your downside. So one of the things you can do when I'm being a really good trader, a really disciplined trader, because a really good trader is a really disciplined trader, I am bracketing my trade immediately once as soon as it is executed. And what that means is basically just put a sell order above and below. That's that's part of being objective.
Yeah.
I've already defined my buy and sell. I mean my sell points. I've already defined my profit. I've already defined what I'm willing to risk. Put it in there. Don't let emotions um, get in the way. Now, to be fair, and 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 this would have saved me if I had done that, right? And I would have still would have sold higher than where I ultimately sold. It probably would have been that day it came down and came all the way back up.
Yeah.
Right? I would have. So that said, you may not get the top, but nobody knows where the top is, and that's the game. And nobody knows where the bottom is. So when you get yourself, when you get arrogant to the point where you're trying to pick tops and bottoms, you're in trouble. That's a great way to exit the game. So that's number 3. Lastly, I would say document your wins and losses. And again, when I'm being a disciplined trader, I'm really being, it's really good, especially in the beginning, to keep a journal of your trades that contain. I'm telling you, and I could tell that Jamario is this type of guy. I knew he would love this stuff.
Look at that. You gotta have it. You gotta every one of them trades. You gotta do it.
You got to do it. And one of my reasons for doing it, here's what I suggest, and I want your opinion, Jamario, is I believe you need to have the company, probably the ticker. It's not in there, but the ticker, what they do, what you bought it at, why you bought it, what you sold it at, and why you sold it. Those things at a minimum. So
Yeah.
you can kind of start to say, you create a story, and you start to look. You can get a feel for what your habits are, and it's a great way to determine, an objective way to determine whether or not your system is even working. Right? Like maybe your system is off, but you think you're doing something.
Yeah. You gotta have a
And
strong,
so
sound strategy. You're right about that.
yeah, and I think that one of the best ways to determine that is to document. And of course, it is being documented. Every trade you make is being documented, but you want to document it for your purposes and for your understanding. And so, those are some high level things we're definitely going to go over, because each one of these bullets is got a ton of sub bullets underneath of it. And so, um, I'm going to stop here for that, and I want to get Jamario's opinion on what we could have done from an options perspective, um, had I been disciplined. So let's say I did sell half here overnight, and all of a sudden I think it's going to fall. What kind of trade? What could I have done to continue to further my gains? Once that happened from an options perspective.
Well, the thing is, you couldn't really call the top on this move, man, because after
No,
hours,
yeah,
it was still going up after hours, so it's kind of hard to tell. But we didn't know this move was out of the ordinary. We didn't know.
sure.
So just buying a put, a little bit above 75, it would have helped us out. But the thing is, something that's this volatile, those options are going to be expensive. So
Heck, yeah,
you're gonna pay a little bit more than you would want to pay for that opportunity, which would have been too much for us anyway. Um,
sure.
so you may not have been able to do anything from an option standpoint affordably on this play here, because it was too volatile. Um,
Thank you for saying that. I don't know if you're saying that just to make me sleep
no,
better at night.
it's the truth, man. It's too volatile, man.
It was hugely volatile. If that, the way that stock came back that Wednesday all day, and then in the after hours went from here to above here,
Man,
it's just like, oh, I can't, I'm lit. I got to wake up in the morning and get this bread. I need one more day at least, if not two more.
the
And
best
then I'm
time would have
out.
been when we did our last meeting 2 weeks ago, but the price was still going up then, though.
That the meeting, when we did our last meeting, oh, it was a week ago.
Yeah, it was
It was
still
8 days ago. It was at 29, Jamario. If I had gotten out, remember I said then, and I woke up the next day and I was like, and remember you hit me and you were like, I don't know if you want to put on that put. I was like, nah, we lit. I'm good. Right? I'm staying right here. So
Even still though, Thomas, that put would have been cheap then though, because there's a lot of people thinking the
Well,
price.
what would I have put it in at? 29?
Man,
It's back at 29 right now.
it wasn't a good time doing the options on it. It was too volatile, man.
I don't know what I could have done, and so that's part of
Now
the learning process.
there is one thing, Thomas. What you can do, there's something called a straddle. It's a little more
I've heard of
complex
it.
than just a regular option. It's a call. It's two calls. What you're calling, what you're buying two calls. What it allows
Okay.
you to do is to profit if it rises above a certain point or drops below a certain point.
Oh,
Something like that.
Let's talk about it. Let's break that down.
See, something like that would have worked. It's a straddle and also a strangle. It's the same concept where you're buying two options. You're buying two of them. One kind of like cancels out the other.
Sure.
It's a call and a put. If the price goes up to a certain point, you make money on that call. If it drops a certain point, you make money on that put. But while it's rising, your call is making money and your put is losing money. And if it rises enough, you're gonna make more money than that put is losing. That's how you make money on that.
The spread. Got you.
Yes, it's a spread.
Gotcha.
Spread trade.
Oh,
So something like that would have worked. It's a little more complex than a regular, call or put, but it's just a call and a put together. So that would have worked. That's probably the only.
That was the play. That was the play. Yeah, a straddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you said it's two calls. You said one is a call and one's a put.
I misquoted. It's not two calls. It's a call and a put.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I misquoted it.
It's a call and a put, which makes sense, right? So the put makes me money if it drops below a certain point.
Yeah.
Where in this chart would you think is the right place to put that on, put that trade on?
I would need to see my MACD and some other things to make that determination.
Okay.
But I mean, when we were talking about it last week, because you can get that straddle out for 2 weeks. And all it's going to cost you is what you paid for. So that's all you can lose also. Now, that'll be the best way to do it. Probably when we talked about it originally. And get it like 2
So
weeks.
what's interesting is if we had done that, then I could have made money on both the call on the straddle and the underlying stop.
That's it. Yep. Yep.
Whew.
And what's those the spreads are a little bit cheaper than just buying a regular call sometimes also, because it could have been cheaper than just buying, a put or just a regular call.
You're forever learning in this game. We're forever learning in this game. And I made this, I had a significant profit on this.
I bet you did, man.
But I'm sick to my stomach about what I could have made on it. But
I did the same thing with AMD last week, man. On 2 plays, I could have made a lot more money, but that fear thing, it strikes all of us, man.
It is. It's
hit
very
me last
real.
week. I left money on the table too, man. It hits all of us, man.
Yeah, I think being honest about both sides, losing money, making money, not making as much as you could have, missing half the move, thinking that you made as much as you're going to make. Like, those are the types of things that I think that's the only way you combat this rising tide of so I'm a retail investor, rising tide of new investors coming in, or new traders trying to come in and not having any knowledge. And when they go out to get it, everybody is, on Clubhouse or wherever, not to knock Clubhouse, on social media, I should say, talking, selling snake oil and dreams.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever do that, especially the Black folks, because there's enough people doing that to us.
This game ain't easy, but you can do it if you learn the principles and just come up with a sound strategy. You can do it.
Sure.
Not gonna be easy. You can do it.
And I don't ever want to give the impression that it is easy or that we don't have or the bad days, right? You know what I mean? Like all last year I was when you could have thrown, and any idiot could have thrown a rock at a list of stocks and made money. I struggled all year, right, for whatever reason, because of fear and greed and lack of discipline and patience, all the things, right. And then I just kind of got my bearings straight. Really, on the 4th of January, I don't know what happened, man. My mind got right. So I want to go one more thing. My pick of the week is Peloton. We talked last time about just this wedge setup, and I'm in love with the wedge setup. Because particularly this one, and frustratingly, I was so focused on my weed stock and figuring out what to do. It had taken so much of my attention, and that's when I finally did something, because I was like, I gotta focus on something else because I can't even think. Right? It's taking over. That's what emotions do to you. And this wedge pattern was setting up, and I think I don't know if I shared it last week, but I knew about it. And I was supposed to be buying in, trickling into this stock. I didn't, and here we go on Friday, 8 points.
Dang.
Um, and I think this here is about 144. So, I mean, you're talking about 10 points from the support level
Dang.
here, and but clear consolidation, clear, and we don't have. I mean, we got 17 points before we really 16, 17 points before we really find resistance.
Got some
Again,
room to run. I like
it's
that.
got some room to run. So I think I think this is going to be my pick of the week. What are your thoughts?
It looks good. I like the support level there. I like it, man. It looks good, man. Um,
MACD is. I don't have the MACD in here, but I can. I should have had that in there. I'll make sure to have on my picks going forward. I'll have all the information.
what I'll be looking for first is probably a clean break, above 160 first. I want to see that because I do see us, probably some soft resistance up there.
It's
But
soft resistance.
yeah, it's nothing to worry about. But I think it can power through it. It looks good, man. I like
This right here is the first area of resistance, right? It's got to power through that.
Yeah,
Um, and but if it does, just the way the market is going, I just have a feeling like in the next 2 weeks, this thing might be 175, 180. The next 2 to 3
Peloton.
weeks, 2 to 4 weeks.
It's a
So what?
pretty good looking chart, though. Pretty good looking chart, man.
It's a hell of a chart, man. And this 50 day, I mean, it held up. It held up. You can see the last what's it going 5 or 6 days. It's come down pretty close to that 50 day and just kind of not even never breached it.
Now, do you think they're gonna hold their steam once everybody goes back to work and we kind of open up? You think it's gonna? What do you think is gonna happen then? Because this is like a stay-at-home play.
It's a complete stay. Well, Peloton is a stay-at-home play. I will give you that. But the thing that I think going forward could be helpful is they have an app,
Oh yeah.
which
Okay.
means you don't have to have a Peloton for them to make money.
Okay. Okay.
So even if I go to the gym, I can still use my Peloton app,
Okay.
right? I believe that's the way it works. Number one. Number two, um, I think we are a ways away from gyms
Yeah.
because still it's hard to get home workout equipment, and even their biggest challenge is getting the bikes out and just the lead time, right? I think that's their biggest headwind. But people are in love with that thing, and I do think people are gonna go outside and ride their bike
Yeah.
for sure. If those people that do cycle, but cycling, if you don't have a group of people with you, it's not the same experience as getting on it with your friends
Yeah. You're right.
and whatever. So I think that it has that stuff. There is definitely the stay at home risk. I don't know. I don't know. And more importantly, I'm not an investor here. I'm a trader in this. So
Yeah.
I'm buying it as a trade. And if it breaks through that 171 mark and goes up, I put on my disciplines and and get ready. I'm not looking for a double here, but that's why I said you got to know that formula,
And this is not a
right?
game. This is not a Wall Street bets play, right? We don't think anything.
No,
This is gonna
I
happen.
don't see it. No, I think the shorts have washed out of this one. So, at least heavily shorted. So, from that perspective, I feel like 170 is a safe bet,
I like it.
and
I like it, man.
yeah, and then I'll take out my risk, and then we can play some other game. We can come back and have a conversation about the options strategy going forward. But I do think there is some headwinds. There are some
Is that
headwinds.
171 the all time high?
All time high.
Is that all time high? That 171 up there?
Yep, that's all time high, buddy. It
You know
hasn't
she's trying to get
split,
to that.
and she just hit it. I
Dang.
mean, this is not that long ago,
Yeah.
right? We had a retracement back down to here, but we traced twice. We came here. It's a lower high, um, a lower low, but then it just picks up. And so I was really, what had me nervous is these envelopes were just not really giving me any confidence that this thing was turning.
Yeah.
Um, but then I started to see this pattern, this wedge pattern happen. And I'm like, if this thing breaks out of this, I really wanted to already be in it.
Dang.
And I
God
just got
dang. Teal Ray. That dang.
Tilray. It's hard to be mad at somebody making you that much money, but still, man, I'm mad at myself for not making it. You know what I'm saying? All of it, so that because that was enough to put right in here and get busy. Because I knew that this was coming, just a matter of time. So yeah, we'll come back next week. We'll talk about how this trade worked out. I'm looking forward to hearing your trade. I'm also looking forward to you telling me how to leverage, straddle the fence here, and make me some money on the upside, man. So
Oh, yeah, straddles are nice, man. Straddles and strangles are nice, man. You do need a bigger move to profit off of them, but in situations that are
gotcha.
volatile, it's what you want.
So you want a more of a volatile. You want something this like this.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
pretty yeah. It's be a nice one to do a straddle or strangle on.
because you don't really know it could come back down here or it could go, it can go up. So I see what you're saying. You need something that has more of a powerful move. But I really have another pick, but check out Square, and I put that in the group already. But
Yeah, squares a beat.
Square is a beast. So in closing, let's shout out your social media information, your YouTube, whatever, how people can find you, the tech trader.
Oh yeah. I got a YouTube page. It's just Tech Trader. We got a couple of videos on there, showing you how to day trade and just giving some trading tips, try to help you to come up with a sound strategy to help you trade. Um, it's a hard game, but we are here to help. We've been doing this for a while, and we've got we don't know everything, but we know enough to assist you guys in your journey. Um, you can also reach out to me on Facebook, Jamario Walker. You can just any questions you have. We are here to help you guys. So just let us know what you want to hear about. What are you having trouble with? I mean, let's learn and grow together. I'm here to help, here to learn and grow with you guys. It's our time to do it.
Excellent. You can find me at Calhoun Speaks, all pretty much on every social media platform. If you have any questions or you want to join the forum that we have monthly and ask questions directly in that forum, um, you can email me at calhounspeaks@gmail.com. And our Facebook group is facebookgroups.com/group/own your masters, all one word, all together. Um, Request to join. Um, Definitely join our email list so you can know when we're having a forum. Email me, contact Jamario. Follow the YouTube is truthbetold.com slash I mean excuse me, youtube.com/truthbetold. Obviously I have a truthbetold.com page. You can support the brand by at truthbetold.com/own-your-masters. You can buy the hoodies there. And we'll have all the other information for all the links and stuff in the on the YouTube video. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Later. It's good, man. It was good.
Yo, that was a good recording, man.